Not long ago, one of the subscribers to the channel commented on one of my non-fan videos and said they periodically like to check into the channel, but mainly want to see more fan videos, and I've had a few others say that. Um, yeah, unfortunately, I don't have 365 videos worth of fans to do every day of the year. I wish that would be like a dream, right? But the good news is with the spring here, and I'm diving in a little bit more back to the fans, has a lot of different topics throughout the winter months, some business topics, some lawnmower projects, some electrical repair projects from the Christmas lights and all of that kind of stuff. So I was just looking off and thinking off the top of my head, there's, I think, between 11 and 12 videos on fans I would like to get done. One recently based on a score of 4 free fans on Marketplace just up the road. And so I want to get into that at some point. And then this situation here, what I have today, is 2 McGraw-Edison. I believe these are the predecessors to the comfort fans because they ultimately use the same cabinet, the same motor, kind of same setup, if you will. This is before the dark translucent blades, which are my all-time favorite fans. Those of you who follow the channel know the backstory, perhaps. So the fan on the right I acquired in 2023, I believe, and it's not in amazing shape. It has rust in the bottom, you can see, but I've been wanting one of these models for a long time because I tell the story of how I first even knew this model existed, which would have been in about 1990, and even in 1990 this thing would have been easily, it could be somewhere in it had been at that time by 1990 20 something years old, 15 at the earliest I would think, but probably like 20 years old. I should imagine this is from the 70s, and I struggle with the model and date codes on these things, but that would align correctly with the next generation with the dark blades, the plastic blades, which would have been like late 70s into the 80s. So I'm thinking this is mid to early 70s, probably overlap with, say, a Lakewood P23 timing. Well, like the comfort fan, like the one with the dark translucent blades, there have been slight variations of those, and I know I own every variation, and I should do a video on all my variations of that. I would need a big table to stick them all on, because I do own quite a few of those, let alone a number of the same model, because again, it's like my favorite fan, and I have to restrain myself when I see them on eBay because they're getting expensive out there, and sometimes I just want to buy them all so I have a lifetime supply of them. Okay, so the one on the right, I paid decent money for it, knowing that it wasn't in ideal shape, and also knowing that I could restore it. Nothing was bent or broken on it. It was more so cosmetic, and probably needs some servicing, right, in terms of oil and of course cleaning, which I've yet to do. I used this I think it was last year, yes, at the main location for some light duty. It was more for nostalgia purposes, just to run a metal bladed fan. And this fan likely is older than me. I'm a late 70s model. This is probably, like I said, mid to early 70s. So, of course, it would have overlapped with my childhood because, like I said, many years later, in 1990, I saw this and was like blown away by its existence. So, what I think is cool, and a lot of manufacturers do this, is when they evolved away from the metal blades, some may not call that an evolution, but they kept the cabinet, they kept the rear grille, the mount into the grill, which I know some people don't like. I think it's cool. I've always thought it's cool because it's different. They changed how it looks, the plate that mounts to it. And I often wondered if they had this bigger plate on here because there's more weight with the metal blades in it versus how they did it with the plastic blades. I'll turn the fan around in a minute. But the unique thing, so again, this one on the right, not perfect shape, and it vibrates and stuff when you use it, and I thought it was kind of unique to this fan. Then recently, probably within 2 weeks of this recording, I stumbled across this one on eBay, because I do look up Edison box fans fairly regularly on eBay, and I'm watching a bunch of them, and especially the comfort fans, and I have I think also every variation of thin and light as well. And the comfort fan ultimately evolved into, from the black translucent blades with this cabinet to more of like the Toastmaster, kind of like like a bigger thin and light, but a smaller cabinet of this. And they got rid of the grill mounted motor, and they went with plastic on both sides. It became badged as Toastmaster. So there was like this kind of evolution, and then ultimately Holmes, I believe, acquired Toastmaster way later in the 90s. But like, as I was saying before, with the black translucent blade models, there were some variations. Even on the ones that, like, from the eyeball looked exactly the same, in terms of where the badge was and the style grill. They did do some things where they had models with different color handles, knobs, and even there's variation of a gray front grill, plastic grill. And they basically kind of started that with this. And what would be cool, and maybe I should do this as a future video idea, is take the black translucent version of this, and because literally they do the same thing with that fan as they do with these two. I should take the one with the gray front grill, plastic grill, and take the one with the black, the more traditional one that most people see, or the more common one, and this. And then you really have an evolution of each variant. I know I'm getting into the weeds and the minutia of these things, but it was just interesting for me to inadvertently realize that kind of differentiator and subtle design change was going on with this version, right? The original version. These are non-Eskimo fans. I know Eskimos, I think, uses the same blades, or very similar, but it's kind of I don't know if you call it, I don't think it's a rebadge. I just think it's a sub-brand of McGraw-Edison or Edison. Okay, so very typical for these, where they shake, rattle, and roll. More so even with the metal blades than the plastic blades. You get noise from the good old strap handle, which I don't use the handles because, again, they are 50 years old or plus. I'm not trusting them to pick up a big heavy fan. I remember as a kid using them on the plastic bladed ones all the time. Never actually had one break, but my grandfather had one, and I remember he had a piece of rope for where the handle was, so his must have broke somehow. Okay, so the grills are subtly different colors. This is like a darker color. This is lighter. I don't know if the camera's picking up because it's subtle, but this is like a gray. This is like a black, or like a dark brown. The blades are the same. The color of the handles are different. Right? And one very notable thing, and you can't see it. Now I know this one has rust, which you probably can see, but the texture of the finish is like there's like a little design pattern, right? this is what I was used to with the translucent bladed, the plastic bladed versions. This is what I was used to until I acquired one at one point, and everything was super smooth on the cabinet. To the point that I thought, did somebody refinish this, right? But I'm like, no, that wouldn't make sense to me, because this is like in the metal, like this little design or whatever you want to call it, this kind of like, it's alright, it looks like little teeny tiny little waves or whatever, and it gives it like you can actually grip it. The fan on the left, it is, like I said, super smooth. Like when I carry it around the house, like my hands start to slide. It's like perfectly smooth, and it's like perfectly smooth. I don't know, sheet metal or what, but it's interesting because I found the plastic, a plastic bladed version that had the same thing, the difference in the cabinets. Now, what I'm very curious is, and this is a question that'll never get answered, is from a manufacturing cost standpoint, why did they manufacture these with such little like differences that probably cost a little bit of money for them to do when they could just make them all look the same way, exactly the same way? I don't think, and I could be wrong, I don't think that like it was like one was an evolution of the other. I really think that they were just came out for a stretch of years. It's really, really interesting because like car manufacturers make subtle differences. Like they'll have a body design and they'll do little subtle things to it, maybe offer different colors, maybe a couple different options in the interior, until like the next major redesign comes. And sometimes when a redesign comes, there's carryover, much like the one this cabinet carried over, the switch motor carried over to the plastic bladed version. They just changed up the grills and how the motor's mounted. All right, that's a lot of talking there. I will flip it around and very typical. I just inspect something there. Okay, we're okay. I always watch the insulation on where it goes into the motor there. It's a weak point. I understand from why they did it from a cost. You know, there's where they save some cost, right? They, instead of running it down the support and out the bottom like most manufacturers do, they just run it out the front to save some cost on the length of the cord. The other thing where they got more cost conscious with the plastic bladed version is, plastic bladed version, the wires run straight up to the switch from the motor out this side. Here, it comes up here. They have this piece. This doesn't exist in the plastic one, the plastic bladed one, but that does, that clamp, and so they save there, but yet they have these variants. And again, I would be interested in knowing, were these available all at the same time, or did they come out in different years? That being said, so say if the one on the right was first, then they changed the colors and the finish a couple years later, but then when they came out with the plastic bladed version, that means they would have gone back to this texture, handle, switch, and then after a few years done this again with the smooth. So I don't think that's right. I think they just like made variants. Much like, I can't believe I'm going to say this, I'm going to compare it to Alaska, modern day Alaska Cool Colors. Exact same fan, just with some different gimmicks on it, right? Grill, colors, you know, it's really a 3733, you know, kind of thing. So maybe that's that. One of the things I absolutely love with these fans, both of them have it, where the oval blade attaches to like the hub, it's a different color, right? So when these things are on, it forms like a ring when the blades are spinning, which looks really cool. As I pointed out before, when they went to the plastic bladed version, they changed this, I could call it a plate, if you will. to the mounts where there's like a mount here and a mount here that holds it into the grill. And I often wondered whether it was they just a design change to allow them to use less material for the plastic bladed version, or was it because this motor is heavy enough as it is? It's the same motor in the newer ones, but these blades weigh it as well. So is this just to add reinforcement? I don't know. It's crazy because that company, McGraw-Edison, I mean, it's been defunct, and probably anyone who had anything to do with these fans long since retired and probably even dead. But it would be really cool to talk to somebody who like design products like this that kind of understand how it works. It would even be cool to talk to a Lasco product manager just to understand how the process goes into this. And I'm sure they have a limited budget for materials and cost points for the fan. Like, they just can't, to be competitive, they just can't build a fan like this and expect it to sell for $250, which would probably be the price today, and actually sell anything, unfortunately, right? Okay, so let's have a little fun now and turn these on. And the whole reason I busted these out was, like I said, I just acquired this one, and this one is in pristine shape. It will likely not really get much use because these are on the rarer side, not ultra rare like a P25 or something, but they're rarer. They're much rarer than Eskimos for whatever reason. Maybe Eskimos were used for more like residential use, and maybe these were designed for more commercial use. Maybe hence all the metal. So like I said, I wanted a nicer one, and I saw this one. It was really good shape. I think I paid about the same price I actually paid for this one. Got my hands on it, very happy with it. I eyeballed the differences when I was looking at this one on the shelf, and I'm like, oh, I should do a video on that. And plus, I had the newer one out because if you follow the channel, just had done a video on that, and it shows up in a couple of other videos. All right, so let's turn them on. I'm not going to hook up the energy meter to them because I've done that in other videos and you can check that out if you like. So let's do low on this. So I know these motors so well from growing up with the plastic bladed versions, and I still run them now, that it's so weird to hear this motor with like the metallic metal blade sound. Yeah, I mean, this sucker needs oil. I mean, it has, I think he's gonna need a little oil. I really need to get into him. Hear the rattling. These grills rattle too, and you have to keep them tight. This one's definitely shaking much more than this one. But even here, you can kind of see the ring around the motor. It's kind of neat. Again, I don't have the feet on them. They didn't come with the feet. But I have in stock Edison, Toastmaster feet. Okay, medium. This one vibrates like crazy. I won't leave it on for long. This one not as bad. see, you definitely don't want to leave them on the counter unattended. He is just moving all around. Yeah, these definitely ended up in a different spot they started. Yeah, the spin down on the left looks... I have to get into the one on the right. But they just do not make these fans like this anymore. I mean, these big oval metal blades. Hey, look, I like the HV blades on the Lascos. They're cool, you know, and all that stuff. But this is just... makes me wish I was born 10 years sooner, or 10 years like earlier than I actually was, because I would have been able to kind of enjoy these a little bit more. But one of the things I'll do here is see if I can show you the kind of like the ring I was talking about when you fire this up. I'll just put it on low. I mean, I don't know where this fan was sitting, the one on the left. Yeah, see that ring? Ring around the motor. It looks so freaking cool. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention the obvious too. The color of the cords are different, the white versus brown. Yeah, this one's way happier from a service standpoint than the one on the right. All right, if you haven't already, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. Want to let you, curious what you think about these old guys. Do you like them? I love them. I think they're so cool. It rounds out my collection with having kind of like the originators of like my favorite fans, like that predate my favorite fan. These are very cool. I can show the evolution of these comfort fans from here all the way until like when they evolved into the Toastmaster variant. So it's kind of neat. I know a lot of people do that with like the 223s, right? Each generation. So here you have it. Thanks again for watching. There will be a ton more fan videos coming. So if you're into them, they're coming. It's the time of year. I just hit pay dirt on Marketplace and a couple other units for my collection. So we're gonna have a little fun. And any suggestions? You guys know my collection pretty well. If you want to see any combinations or kind of battle royales between fans, let me know and we'll tee it up. See you next time.